Hello everyone! Welcome back to the channel. Thanks again so much for tuning in. I'm Simmer Chase. Today's episode 11 of our speed builds. I'm so excited! We're at number 11! Yay! I can't wait for you guys to see what we have in store today. So what I'm doing is I'm actually converting another old build over to 2020, and this one goes back a little bit too. It was originally like a really lady friendly, as I'll call it, and like feminine style sort of French retail store that a lot of odds and ends things, and it was just kind of like a mismatchy sort of like offering of materials and different sorts of home goods and all kinds of stuff. So I was like, ooh, well, this is probably another good candidate. And it just so happened to be right next door to the lot we just did last episode, the Marketplace for Doers. And so the Marketplace for Doers was right next door. That really ended up being like that really neat factory sort of campus vibe. So I ended up bringing the house next door up to kind of the current standard. You may have kind of got a little brief sneak peek there from our last episode as well, because I'd already started construction. Once I recorded my first video on my last episode, I was like, the next door lot now, yeah. And so then I went to the gallery and then uploaded, and of course the house next door, I made that tree big, so then it covered everything in the gallery, all the pictures. So then I had to go back, delete that tree real fast, and then upload our current lot, the Mega Makerspace, into the gallery, and then go back and not save the build so that I could keep my original build that way, because I really love that tree and I really like being able to make trees huge. So anyway, thanks again so much for tuning in, and if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe in the links below. So stay proud and go out and do something magical. Let's go ahead and dive in now.
Okay, so this is the space we inherited, the Cookout Lookout. The Cookout Lookout is sort of like a French style looking retail store here. As you can see, it's done up very in pink, and it just had a lot going on. And then the facilities were down in the basement, but I actually did something different, and I did an outdoor-indoor sort of facility for this place because I wanted it to be modern and to kind of have that maker space sort of vibe in a way. So it is going to be a little bit more modern than what it originally was, because when I think of maker spaces in real life, a lot of them are very modern, and they're reuses of what we call reuses in the commercial real estate sector, where basically you go and you buy this building and then you just convert it into something different. So I was having a little bit of trouble in here and at first, because there was just so many things that I was trying to have to pick up, and I didn't want to just tear down everything and start over, which I really could have, honestly, but I did want to keep the original sort of structure a little bit. So now I'm kind of creating my little block lettering here with our mini wall lights to add maker, and then I do mega here in a moment. So I just start positioning everything around, and I try to make the G a little more rounded, but it was just a little tricky. And then of course, because of how few there are, it was hard to get some of the letters to really come across what it actually said. So that's when I was trying to space them out a little bit more here, you're seeing now. And then some of them I made them a little thicker and chunkier with more lights in it, just so that you could kind of get at least the gist of it. And so now I have kind of the last little bits here together, coming together for all this. And the upstairs, I really wanted to give it that really cool lofty vibe between the first floor and then the third floor. So the second floor is pretty much empty, aside from having a staircase going up to the third floor. So there's not a lot really on the second floor, because I really wanted to be able to accommodate really cool big lighting and sort of that industrial vibe a little bit, is, you know, like if it was a reuse. And so I, like, at first wasn't quite sure which direction I really wanted to go with the exterior. I knew I wanted something really modern and to feature like the name and lights, because I felt like maybe it could have been like a light bulb factory or something like that in the old days before it was converted to the store and now to the maker space. So I, you know, also flipped the building around too, because I felt like it would make more sense to have sort of the front end and everything facing you when you're looking at it from the gallery. And then that property next door is the one that we just renovated in the last episode. So I felt like that this one really kind of needed the TLC too, especially since, you know, it's like renovating in a way, you know, you see one room and you do it, and then you're like, now everything else looks old and dated, or, you know, needs help. So we just kind of continue along here on our journey to, you know, modernize old builds into 2020. So, and then even into 2021 as we move forward. So it'll be a lot of fun. And I originally wanted to do a glass roof because I thought a glass roof would just be phenomenal in this, but then I was just having so much trouble trying to get the glass roof to look right that I ended up just going with a metal corrugated roof, which is what this is here. It's a metal corrugated roof. So it's like a mixed alloy of metals basically, but mostly aluminum. And so then from here, I'm getting in all of sort of my industrial windows, because these are my favorite, absolute favorite. Anytime I can use them, I do. Sometimes I probably use them more than I should, but and then when I was looking at this, I was like, oh, this would be fun to really play with the angle idea. So I ended up abandoning that little chunk of windows, which I thought might be neat, but then I thought it might be a little too passe, I guess you could say. So I ended up just kind of moving on from that and doing more of that really cool, like, fun area off to the side there. And then this, I wanted to make like a parking garage sort of feel a little bit, you know, like, you know how you have those like central stairwells and that kind of stuff. So I basically just added on this little section here to make a central stairwell. And then it's kind of just starting to come along with the exterior. I really wanted to give it a lot more roof space too that you could really kind of use. And so now we have that sort of car garage central staircase sort of thing, because it's a maker space, so it's going to be more industrial vibe. But I did want to give it a flag and sort of make it like really known that this is the mega maker space, and that no matter what, this is a place to get your stuff made and done, and then you can go right next door and sell it. So kind of created a fun little eco neighborhood out here, like almost like a self-sustaining neighborhood at this point. And so we're gonna, later on in the series, we're gonna start working on apartment buildings and that kind of stuff, and build out some apartments and that kind of thing, and then kind of just go from there, you know, and kind of really fluff up Newcrest, because it's, you know, one of the first lot galleries and that we really had and that we saw a lot of uploading from was the Newcrest area, because Willow Springs was just, you know, small and the lot variety wasn't that large. So then Newcrest came along, and then all of a sudden you got all these opportunities for a lot smaller lots that are much quicker and easier to do, especially for streamers and stuff, which I try and let them do that. And I like sticking to the larger builds and the things that take a little bit more time, because I would rather take a little bit more time in a video rather than do a little video with a little house, because I feel like there's just so many of those little houses now that people are running out of ideas. So that's why I'm thinking about building up and out, and like the things that you could really do about, you know, creating something out of a large space, because there just gives you so much more opportunity to do different ideas and things that I just don't see in the gallery. So that's one thing I would encourage and challenge people to do, that if you ever listen, is to really go out and, you know, build something different and interesting and challenge yourself. Because that's part of being magical in my eyes, is, you know, again, pushing yourself outside of those boundaries and going against your own doubts and just saying, I really believe I can do this. I have faith I can do this, and just do it. So now we're kind of smoothing this out because our terrain, I didn't flatten it either. So I needed to kind of play with the terrain a little bit on this, just to make sure that it had the ability to go flat. So when I put on our floor there in the center, and I wanted this to kind of be the showcase piece. So you walk in, you're like, ooh, all those people are doing some really cool stuff. Ooh, how scientific, how rad, how cool. And then maybe there's even tours, and they're like, now look over here, and they're building a robot. They're inventing a new form of cleaning. And it's like, ooh, how cool. So I thought it'd be neat to kind of have the idea of maybe like tours, that kind of stuff. Oh, and then I really wanted this garage sort of stairwell thing to emulate that to an extent, but also to kind of give it that really postmodern vibe by making it all floating. So it's open down below you, which is kind of how a real, garage would be. There's not really, it just is stairs all the way down. So you could like look down in between and see it go all the way down. So that's really what I wanted to really focus on this too, was like giving it the chance to have that vibe and that lofty feel when you go in there. In first person mode. Because sometimes in spaces like that, it's like, whoa, all really like super claustrophobic and tight. So now I'm just giving it some color on the outside because, again, it's a maker space. And I think that really kind of levels it up even more because, again, it's a maker space and you want it to be like an inspiration for creativity. So now I'm getting even more lights out here. I just really wanted to make this a really, really, really neat like entrance that's just kind of like classy and not super bougie, but at the same point like inviting, so that again it's inviting people in to create and go out and do, great things, magical. And I really love the estate lighting, so now I'm just, popping in more lighting, putting in some chairs and, easels, that kind of thing, just so that you can kind of do what you want here and just kind of be in your own little area, at least 6 feet apart or more, and, socialize from a distance and work from a distance, but together. So I really wanted to make this area in the back like available to use like 24/7. So I covered it with the glass and did that kind of stuff. But then I tossed in tons and tons and tons of spotlights all over the place just to really make it super bright and kind of glow through the roofs of the areas over there for the outside, because eventually they become shops, like little areas that you could set up, like your yard sale signs and tables, that kind of stuff. So I just kept looking at it first because I wasn't sure where I was going to go with it. So I kept working on the outside and then kind of getting the perimeter set up. But I didn't do a lot of landscaping around this lot because I really wanted to make sure to show off some of the features of the design. So I didn't do a lot of landscaping like around the sides and that kind of thing like I usually would on like a house. Because again, it's things that somebody else in real life would have to like take care of because it's a business. So you're probably not going to go out and do it yourself. So you'd hire people and then it costs money to maintain all that stuff. And since it's just the maker space, I feel like you wouldn't really have tons of landscaping. It would just be like nice features that are easy to maintain, like that fountain and lighting. And then it kind of accentuates the color and kind of design of the property. And then I get in all of these like really fun, like whimsy, historical sort of chandeliers and that kind of stuff because I did want to give it that old world vibe still on the inside and kind of, do a throwback to the original concept of the building. But I just thought, there's so many vacant retail buildings right now out there, and it's hard to see like what a Joe's Crab Shack, for instance, could become. But it's pretty amazing, like, with just some paint, drywall, and a little bit of patchwork and, basic stuff like that, electrical, and, you have a completely different use out of the building. So it's just really hard because, you know, there's so many buildings that we have here in the United States that are just vacant now, but that's kind of a big deal that I think would really help. So I really wanted to go with a little bit of color on the inside too. I kept waffling on that a little, but I did want to make sure that it had some good color on the inside and that it wasn't super bland, because I think that that's kind of one of the easier, cheaper ways when you're trying to reuse a building is to just paint everything and cover it with drywall that's too hard to fix, and then maybe keep a little bit of exposed brick and that kind of stuff. If you're doing a house, people would live in it, so you'd probably want to do a lot more like restoration work to make sure that it's like truly unforgettable. But for like a, you know, retail space like this or like a maker space, you wouldn't want to, you know, spend a ton on that because people aren't really coming for that you're not a museum. So I got my little seating area there underneath. And then I thought it'd be fun to maybe get painted, like have little areas for people that get painted, like your caricature. Like you might go to a theme park and then they're like, hey, $10 and I'll do your caricature. And it's like, okay, here's $7. No, I'm kidding. Most of the time I don't get those, but if I do, I would definitely pay for it. Okay, so now we have the piano coming in. And then I just really wanted to kind of cover up, because that's part of the bug with that giant chandelier, is that it pops up through the floor. So I just covered it with stuff, so you can't even tell. And, you know, just kind of gave it like a really fun loungy area. And I thought, you know, creatives probably can play the piano. And I kept thinking about, like, what am I going to do with this area? Because I wanted to definitely make sure that there's plenty of places for people to display their things, or to maybe let something dry, or prep it and get it ready, or to store before it goes downstairs to sell. So I ended up making like a little like work area on this side. And I wanted to make one really messy to kind of represent sort of my husband's side. And then the other side's mine, which is more like the clean, organized. So my desk is like much more clean, like, you know, organized than his. And so I wanted to definitely, you know, kind of add some extra piles of papers and some books and random catalogs and things in that area, plus everything else that you might want to put in that area. So I wasn't really sure, again, what I wanted to color this, but then I thought it'd be fun to just kind of go with the white and blue on the inside as well. But I just went with like a darker shade, but I thought it's just like really calming. But for me, when I'm like, as a graphics designer, I really like seeing rooms that are like gray, green, or blue when I'm like trying to be really like creative. For some reason, that just seems to help me. So that's like why my bedroom's green and my office is blue. But like that kind of gray blue that a lot of us use in everything, our houses, our stands, everything. So this I wanted to just do like a fun little like sort of architectural feature that I don't think anybody's ever done before, but I just wanted to make a multi-tiered giant fountain and then kind of make it really ridiculously like opulent, but in like a tasteful way. So that's why you're seeing me stack all this stuff, because I was trying to see what I wanted to include and how I wanted to stack them. But I highly recommend doing this if you're trying to make your own little custom fountains, because you could assemble these things and shrink and make them larger to like accommodate that sort of idea and style. So you're seeing a lot of different options here of like things that you could do if you really wanted. But I ended up going with like that more of the stacked tier look, like that, but I made it a little bit smaller because I just wanted to make it feel like it had a really large topper. And our toppers that we have right now are not cute, really. So I just used another fountain as a topper. And then like another fountain in between to kind of make it seem like it was like not too skinny, and then like big, skinny, big. So I think it's okay. Now I'm just kind of painting around and getting the last little bit of things here in the sides, and then coming around to my maker spaces. So we have our fizzing stations to make soda. We have our candle making sections. we have a little retail counter to sell stuff. We have outdoor counters there to let people set up their little sales and trunk sales and yard sales and stuff. Then we have like a little retail area that people could get refreshments, that kind of stuff. And then I did a lot of like different things. So now I'm putting in our bathroom. So this is like her little bathroom thing, because I basically just wanted to make it a little shed addition. So it's like a little addition onto the side that's just a shed, basically. Because I thought it would just be really representative of sort of the maker space. And somehow this gives it like a really large amount of toilets. I don't know what happened, but somehow it thinks there's like 20 toilets in this place, but I looked up and down everywhere and I do not see 20 toilets. It's very strange to me because it should just say 2 toilets. So I don't know if that's a bug or if there really are 20 toilets hidden in the lot somewhere and I just don't see them. But, you know, if anybody does notice 20 toilets, please let me know in the comments. I would be absolutely grateful. But I look around top to bottom of every level and, you know, went all the way up with the walls, all the way down with the walls. And then I took off like the cutaway, and I just did not see 20 toilets anywhere. Like I imagined there would be like 20 toilets like suspended in midair or something, because this did used to be a retail store. But now, like for some reason, it's just they're not there, and I don't see them. And when I did the gallery photos, like usually see it, and then I checked the ground again, and it wasn't there. But usually in the gallery, it's just different. But yeah, so now I'm just kind of going around to the building so you guys can see what it looks like with the lights on and kind of everything going on. And I kind of did the slow-mo effect a little bit here. And then kind of changed up the design. So now I relabel it the Mega Maker Space. Yes, it is. This is it. So much for tuning in, and I hope you have a great day. Go out and do something magical and stay proud.